You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today we're going to tackle, I'd argue, maybe one of the biggest headaches right now with Shopify merchants, and it really is about shipping and fulfillment. It's that kind of that post-purchase experience, which I think is really massively important. And so whether you're shipping maybe like you're new and you're doing 10 orders a day, which maybe is a lot for some people in the early days, but there's some brands that are, upwards of 10,000 orders a day. And I think there's a lot of challenges around managing carriers, understanding the costs that go along with all of that. And there's these customer expectations while, maybe still trying to protect some margins. I think it's very interesting because that can make or break a business based on, the fulfillment costs and the customer's expectation. Because, are they going to give a second order? Are they happy with that whole fulfillment process? And so today I'm thrilled to welcome Vibhor Chabra. He's a very interesting fellow. He's actually the director of product for shipping and taxes at Shopify. Very excited to always have a Shopify VP on. One great thing about what he's building, he has these solutions that directly impact how millions of merchants really are handling the fulfillment operations of the business. And I think what makes today especially exciting is that Shopify has been working, on some major updates, him and his team, and their shipping offering is now being officially released. We're kind of recording a little bit before, but this is officially launched on the 25th, and that's where today's podcast recording is all about. And I'm excited to kind of understand, going beyond kind of the basic shipping tips. That's why I don't want to get involved today. We're going to talk more about the strategic fulfillment approaches and how you can maybe even reduce your operational overhead or boost your customer satisfaction. I think there's a lot of new parts to the Shopify shipping offering. So really excited to unpack this today. So hi, Vibhor. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to be here. Thank you for hosting me on E-commerce Fastlane. Looking forward to talking about shipping.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Let's do a big picture first. Like, what do you think are some of the most pressing current challenges right now that you're seeing with merchants? Because clearly they're struggling with a few things. I think that's what allowed the new shipping offering to solve. But can we talk a little about some of these struggles or some of these pains that merchants are facing? And then we'll kind of talk about maybe the new offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'd agree that shipping is a critical component of every order because you want to make sure your order is delivered the way the customer expects it to be delivered and when they expect it to be delivered. And what happens today is, in order for an amazing shipping experience, merchants have to cobble together a bunch of different capabilities on their own. And that is problematic in two ways. Number one, if you're starting a new business, you don't even know you need all of these capabilities, right?
It's true.
If you don't know what you need, how are you going to get it? Second, as you do learn, mostly by being burned through a poor experience, that you need a certain capability, then you have to go figure out what does that mean and who's the best at providing that. And then you go negotiate different contracts. So suddenly you have like 5 different providers to get an end-to-end shipping experience. That's
right.
What we aim to do here is, over the last year or two, what we are building at Shopify is you don't really have to go figure any of these things out. We want you as a merchant to spend your time in growing your business. You build some products that are loved by our customers, focus on growing that piece, and we'll take care of some of the, so-called, necessary evils, so that they're off your plate. And I'll walk you through all those details but that's the gist of this is we want you to focus on growing your business, and we'll take care of everything shipping baked right into Shopify so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. This is amazing because, one thing I think that a lot of merchants are frustrated, I kind of mentioned at the top of the show, but I think part of it, like from a margin perspective is, and I think you alluded to a bit here too, about the shipping cost kind of transparency thing is so interesting to me. Even when I was a merchant success manager, going down that rabbit hole of like, do you truly understand all of the costs and these outlier markets that you're shipping to? And like, are you really understanding profitability by order as it relates to the shipping component to it, which I think is quite interesting. And I think, and that can get even more challenging. And you mentioned it too about like rate shopping across different carriers. And so how do you think about like balancing maybe this kind of like cost optimization, but then on the flip side, there's this reliability and kind of a customer experience side of the business?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful question. I love the cost question. So I'm going to pull back a little bit and paint the picture of, I think a lot of times cost is looked at what is the cost of the label that I'm purchasing. But there's a lot more to the cost than just the label cost. So let me pull back for a minute and give you an overview of what Shopify shipping is doing for merchants. And then we can go specifically into how it comes to cost. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yes, lovely. Yes.
Okay. So our investment over the last year or two in Shopify shipping is all about making sure merchants are empowered with choice. This is not about forcing shipping, but this is about making sure merchants have choice and then they can make the decision they want. And we want this to be built right into Shopify, right? And as merchants grow out of self-shipping, some merchants will be like, hey, our scale is too huge now. We don't want to self-ship. We want to work with a third-party logistics provider. We have made massive strides in SFN or Shopify Fulfillment Network as well. We can talk about that later, in a few minutes. But back to shipping. So a few things we've done. Number one, we've added world-class partners. So regardless of where you ship from or to, what kind of product you ship, and whether you want to optimize for speed of delivery or cost of delivery, we have the right carrier for you. And this is not just the US, but we are expanding in markets outside the US as well. So, and this is an area we'll continue to invest in, number of partners in new geographies, right? Second thing here is, we just talked about this a little bit. When you're starting your business, you don't know about the many things that you need besides buying that label, right? So I'll give you a few examples. If you don't have address validation at checkout, then it's possible that some of your orders will not be delivered on time because the address that the customer entered is not recognized properly by the carrier, right? So in that case, there's delays. We offer you address validation for free. There's no cost. Just go in admin, activate address validation, and boom, it starts working for you, right?
Lovely. Yeah.
So it helps you with increasing customer loyalty because you deliver the package on time, right? We now have delivery predictions available to all US domestic merchants. So you can now show your customers when will a package arrive, which improves checkout conversion. We have a delightful tracking experience. So if your customer uses the Shop app, they are up to date on where the package is at any point of time based on that experience in the Shop app, right? And then finally, I would say we have shipping insurance. So we insure packages up to $200 automatically for you. So what that means is if your package is lost in transit, you're not going to eat the cost as a merchant. Shipping insurance will come into play there. And we made that experience dramatically easy over the last, year, so that it's not something that is extremely cumbersome to figure out, hey, what documents do I need, how to file this, so on and so forth. So the point here is some of the features I mentioned will help with conversion at checkout. Some will help with increasing buyer loyalty, but all of them together deliver your customer a delightful shipping experience, right? And the point here is when you buy the label, these things are available to you for no additional cost. So that's where the cost component comes in, right? You just purchase for the label. We already have unbeatable rates because of our volume. And in addition to those unbeatable rates, we have all of these capabilities for free. And then as these merchants scale their business, we are with them throughout their journey. So maybe you now want to start shipping cross-border. We have increased our cross-border options. Maybe you're impacted by trade policy changes that are happening. We launched tariffguide.ai for anybody on the internet to access and understand how tariffs impact their products, right? And we now have added more DDU, which is delivered duties unpaid, and DDP, delivered duties paid. I'll explain that in a second. Or DDU and DDP options for our merchants so they can buy the kind of shipping experience that they think their customers would prefer. So DDU basically is where at checkout, you don't know, for a cross-border international shipment, at checkout, the customer does not know what duties will be charged. They only know that as your package goes through the border, right? Whereas DDP, delivered duties paid, is an experience where I, as a customer, will know what duties am I expected to pay right at checkout. So we are giving both of these options for cross-border. And then finally, we've also improved the workflows we have. So if you're a merchant who's now scaled and you want to buy, hundreds of labels in one go, you can actually buy up to 250 labels in one go. We have pick lists. So we are improving, and this is an area where we've added capabilities, and we are going to continue to invest more in this space.
Yeah. Yeah, this is amazing, actually. And honestly, I'm on page 2 of notes already because I'm learning as I go here. Because I think a lot of these things, I totally agree with you, what you said about the fact that a lot of merchants don't realize the true cost of all these things. And they start finding out, do I need an address verification tool? Okay, well, yeah, there are some third-party tools that can be used, not just Google autocomplete, but there's other more mid-market enterprise tools. And then there's a cost associated, per label or per validation, because you want to have a correct address. So I understand that. The tracking app, same situation again. You definitely want to align yourself with the Shopify app or the Shop app, and knowing that full tracking and up to the minute details are going to be in there. Insurance, same thing again. If you're kind of shipping on your own, the default's usually 100. It's not 200. So I'm seeing some extra value there. The cross-border thing is interesting too. I have a lot of merchants. I hope you don't mind me going down that rabbit hole for a second. Shopify Markets, and I think at one point, I think it was called Markets Pro, I believe, and there was some third-party alignment, I think, at one point with another tool. But in any case, what's your thought process around this being able to offer merchants the ability to ship internationally and know that duty, tax, and it's compliant, with merchant of record and stuff, so it crosses borders and just seems to all flow correctly by shipping the product through Shopify Shipping?
Yeah, just to be clear, when the merchant is buying you were talking about the delivered duties paid, where the customer knows transparently what fees they're paying, right? So we are working with partners, global partners, who are leaders in this space. So it comes back to what I said initially. We want to give merchants the choice. Right. We don't want to force our way of thinking, but we want to make sure whether you think this way or that way, you have all of those choices on the platform. And then you, as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, can make what's the best decision given the choices that are available, right?
I see.
That's how, I said in the beginning, we want to empower merchants. That's what we're doing here. Hey, everything is here. Make the best decision for your business. You don't have to go figure out the options.
I see. Now, what about multi-channel fulfillment? Because I have a lot of brands that I work with where, for sure their source of truth is Shopify, but there's a lot of social selling going on. There's a lot of marketplace selling going on. But at the end of the day, the order still has to kind of roll up back into Shopify for the source of truth and fulfillment. Can you talk to us about what your mindset is around that, or what would the day-to-day look like from a multi-channel fulfillment perspective?
Yeah, so we have some very large customers. When I say some, that number is pretty high, but we have very large customers who are actually using Shopify Shipping and have multi-channel fulfillment, because as you just said, multi-channel fulfillment is not something that is a, uncommon thing. Almost everybody is doing that in some shape or form, right? And I think that's where Shopify Fulfillment Network also comes into play. So, also known as SFN, we have in SFN Flexport as our preferred partner. They've been there from the get-go. Earlier this year, we added 3 more partners in April. So ShipBob, ShipFusion, and ShipMonk. And now we are adding 4 more partners that are launching today. So what's happening here is we want merchants to have the same choice with third-party logistics fulfillment like we have for shipping or other parts of Shopify. And our role here is not to necessarily tell the merchant, hey, you should use a third-party logistics partner, but to make them aware. Like, when a merchant outgrows self-shipping, a lot of times those merchants have never used a third-party logistics partner before. So you have to start from scratch, right? Like, where am I searching? What am I searching for?
Yep.
When you're buying shipping, you're kind of thinking of the label cost, not all the other costs, because you don't see them at the point of purchase. Right. And when you go to third-party logistics partners, there's like many different cost variables. It's not one cost. There's different numbers. So what's the per unit cost for the kind of orders I ship and for the geography I ship in, right? Like, that's the basic starting question. We are answering that question for our merchants that, hey, we think based on your business, based on where you're shipping from or to, the kind of products you're shipping, here's a set of recommended third-party logistics partners, right? And you should go talk to them and understand who's best for you. So we don't aim to say, hey, here's the partner, go work with this partner. But we say, for your business, instead of trying to figure it out from a blank slate, here's a few recommended partners we will tell you that we have a great partnership with. Go talk to them and decide who's best for you. So again, giving them agency, giving them choice, but the decision is ultimately theirs.
I see. So the nice thing about shipping is that there's a couple different options here. One, if I'm clear, is there's like the self-fulfillment option. I'm out of my garage or I'm out of my wholly owned warehouse, and I use Shopify as my source of truth, and I can print labels individually or in batch. And, and there's lots of other, I guess, parts of the new shipping offering that we talked about. It'll be in the show notes, and we'll have the landing page in a little bit. We'll talk about that, kind of goes over some of the details. So there's that wholly owned warehouse self-fulfillment, but you're also suggesting, because of Flexport and ShipBob and ShipFusion and other partners, you are, once again, as you said, giving people agency and some opportunities, saying, hey, if you've outgrown that, or if you don't want to be a logistics warehousing experty kind of person, and you want to kind of pass the torch to them and let them fulfill it and have your product shipped directly from China or wherever directly to their warehouse, they can receive the order and put it away, and there's some proper forecasting models and things that I'm sure are built into a lot of these 3PL companies. So am I right to assume that self-fulfillment, but then you can mature your way up into a 3PL, and this is all part of Shopify?
100%. That is exactly what we're doing. So with this launch of SFN, you will see Amazon MCF is there. Maple,
that's amazing.
Global, Big Blue. Like, we are adding more partners here, and we'll continue to do that. So no matter where you're shipping, what kind of product you're shipping, you have the right set of choices here.
I see. So another area, this is really great information. I think, and it always flips back to the customer expectations. I think brands really try to figure out the sale really doesn't end after they put their credit card in. I think I'd argue that it kind of starts, because there is these expectations from the customer that's saying, okay, I've made an emotional decision, I've bought something, and then the whole post-purchase experience from, number one, I've accepted your order. Number two, I have a great carrier and a fast shipping time. I've got a tracking information that's hopefully pushed through the Shop app. There's going to be some touch points along the way, this kind of surprise and delight kind of situation. What Shopify think about that? And, because clearly, there has to be a process, and sometimes there's third-party tools to have to manage these sorts of things. And it sounds like Shopify Shipping is now taking care of a lot of that.
Yeah, I think, I'll go back to what I said earlier, but let me add this first. You talk about customer delight here. And one of the things that is missing for the merchant from their shipping experience is, when you receive a package that you're looking forward to receiving, if as a customer, you receive the package on time and, well packaged and receive what you were expected, you're happy. There's a certain delight you get when it's perfect, or when the experience is better than you expected, right?
Yeah.
And the merchant doesn't get to see that. That's sort of a missing piece of the puzzle, right? Like, the merchant, our entrepreneur is putting so much effort in building this amazing experience, shipping experience, but they don't see when that experience pays off in terms of a smile on that customer's face. So how does the merchant see that? The merchant sees that on what is the loyalty here? Because if this customer has a great experience, they're going to come back. And shipping is a huge part of what makes a poor experience or a great experience, right? So now circling back to what I said earlier, every step until the point where the customer has paid you, there's a lot that goes until that point, but every step after that is equally important for loyalty. So like I talked about address validation earlier, if you have address validation, your package is not going to be delayed unexpectedly. That adds to the ultimately the delightful experience. If you have a claims experience that's easy and that's there for you, if a package were to get lost or damaged, you aren't spending time figuring out who's paying for this, right? If the customer has a delightful tracking experience, then there is ambiguity is gone. Hey, am I getting it as I was told or not? And I can track that experience, right? So I think all of these small things add up. Not a single one of these things is ultimately going to be the only factor in the delightful experience, but I think that smile you get is a result of the sum of these experiences. And that's why I focus on like, hey, each one of them might feel small, but put together, they give you this unique power that of offering a delightful end-to-end experience to the buyer, to the customer, and they're going to come back.
Yeah. It's amazing. I know I can remember in the past, like Shopify has like kind of a built-in feature, like and then on the original shipping kind of confirmation emails, I know you can kind of customize them and, these kind of notify customers, when the order ships. And I guess it creates kind of like maybe the first touch point or feedback as part of all that. And it seems in the past, I've been always kind of recommending some kind of a dedicated survey app, just, because I think you talk about like how do you get the feedback knowing that you had the quote unquote that the merchant has given delightful experience. I mean, you can, check a few tracking numbers and kind of see the flow, and you had a 3-day shipping option and it got there in 2 days and they seem happy. Did you get a review out of them yet? Like, I'm just trying to think from a marketer's perspective, like, and then how you think, and then what Shopify offers today. For sure, there's these triggered emails of like, order created, order shipped, order received, order fulfilled. There's quite a few things can be triggered, but a lot of times I've been kind of recommending dedicated survey apps to kind of close the loop to saying, hey, I'm asking a few more questions about the whole experience, not just why didn't I buy, but just like, no, I've got the product. Let's make sure that the box wasn't bent or it wasn't late. Because a lot of times you don't get the right feedback, and so that the merchant can improve.
Yeah, I think just one addition before I answer your question is also if you have, as a customer, if you have the Shop app on your phone, that you get push notifications. So that's also one more way of staying in loop. But in terms of the merchants getting feedback, I think it's the multi-pronged way. I don't think there is one way of getting feedback that beats everything else. But you mentioned reviews, for example. Like that's obviously one great way of getting customer feedback. I think there's a couple of other ways, right? Like one is you look at data and look at, are customers coming back? And of those who are coming back, is there a pattern? Like, hey, when I'm shipping fast, they tend to come back, right? Or those packages that get delayed for some reason, and the customer was a first-time customer, maybe those customers are not coming back, right? So like, I think there is some of this data analysis where what is the pattern behind who's coming back, who's not coming back? And what are the reasons? I mean, there could be many reasons. It's not that shipping might be the only reason, but what's the pattern of who's coming back and who's not coming back? And what role does shipping play in that? And how can you make that experience better? Or where it's working very well, how do you replicate it across all of your orders, right? The other thing is referrals. Like if everybody has a unique referral link, every one of your customers, word of mouth is extremely powerful as well. So if your customer has a delightful experience, they tend to share with their friends and family on social media, etc. Right? So are you giving a unique referral link to your customers so they can share with others?
I see.
Some merchants also do where when you're a first-time customer and you make a purchase, they might give you a coupon or discount or, something to come back, So, it stays top of mind. So I think there's many different tactics here. There isn't one, but I think it's usually the best merchants will use a combination of tactics because different customers respond to different tactics differently, right?
Right. Yeah, so it sounds like, so overall, so the shipping and fulfillment strategies really, and you follow some of these, I'd say some best practice and stuff like that. I think that can consistently drive, as you said, like higher customer lifetime value. And I think about this repeat purchase rate. I mean, these are all this retention marketing that goes along. They're so closely tied to the fulfillment process to like you said, to surprise and delight these customers. They want to be able to come back because it's all part of the overall experience. There was the emotional initial product and marketing and the social proof and all the parts that led up to buying the product. But you can't forget all the rest of it, kind of like the post buy now button through to delivery and then through to getting reviews and to getting into a loyalty program and then understanding the data and thinking about these things about purchase rate and then which then increases the LTV of the customer too.
Right, exactly. And I think, there is some science there where once a customer has made X number of purchases, you're going to stay top of mind. They're not going to necessarily go and search for the same thing. They're going to come back to your store.
Right.
So I think there's two or three phases here. How do you get your first customer? Not the first customer, right, as if you already have customers, but how do you get these new customers? Different set of tactics. How do you get them to come back a second or third time? Different tactics. And now they're your loyal customer. How do you keep them happy? So I think there's different tactics for different phases.
So my next question is about timeliness, because here we are in September for all intents and purposes. And knowing that, and I know in the US, it's kind of back to school for the kids. And, and I can see in LinkedIn already that there is some Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Q4 kind of holiday webinars and PDFs. And there's lots of craziness starting right now. And brands are really seriously thinking about it. My question to you is that now that the Shopify shipping offering is available, is now a good time to learn about it? And is it do you check everything on? Can you selectively choose certain parts of the new shipping offering? I just want to make sure that timing is ripe right now with this launch, that people can, if, either or, you're self-fulfilling out of your own warehouse or garage, or you're currently working with a 3PL. I just want to make sure that now is a good time to want to turn this on.
Yeah, so a lot of the capabilities, or most of the capabilities that I talked about, they're not necessarily going live for the first time right? They've been live for varying degrees of time. What we're doing is raising awareness because we've seen how successful they have been for our merchants who've activated those capabilities.
Okay.
Right? So some of these have been live for a little bit of time. We want to raise awareness because we do believe that this will help merchants during, the peak season like BFCM in the US, for example. Adding more carriers, we are adding a lot of net new carriers. Adding those partners will give more choice. So yes, they haven't existed before today, but that'll give our merchants more choice during BFCM.
Right. I see. So that makes sense. So now they have more choice, and then they can choose, like I said, and it's nice that some of the legacy features of shipping are there, but maybe slightly improved, but then there's an addition to the new offering.
Exactly. So, you can definitely pick and choose. It's sort of an a la carte menu. I talked about many different capabilities. You can activate some and not activate the others, or you can activate all of them. We obviously think the best experience is going to be if you activate all of them because you've covered every part of the journey for the customer. However, like I said, it's the merchant's choice. You can activate whatever you want. You go to shipping settings in Shopify admin, and you can activate, the only feature we activate by default is shipping insurance because everybody needs it for domestic US packages. But outside of that, whether it's address validation or delivery predictions, the merchant has the choice to activate that.
Yeah, this is amazing. All right. So this is going to be available as of today's recording at shopify.com/shipping. The current version I'm looking at is the current legacy kind of offering. But as of today's recording, when you go to /shipping, you're going to see all the details there. And there's, number one, if you're not a Shopify customer, then you can start your free trial and kind of get things going there. Once you sign up and get things rolling, then you'll be able to see the full, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to see everything as of the launch date now, the 25th. They're going to see everything in their admin. If they're a new customer or if they're a Shopify or Shopify Plus customer, they're going to see this now in their admin.
Yeah, that is correct. Everything is live in admin now. And shopify.com/shipping is the landing page where you can learn more about all these capabilities.
Beautiful. Well, this has been very impactful. Any kind of closing remarks and stuff about this particular product and your team and kind of what you're building and maybe like what's the future look like as the product continues to iterate?
Yeah, so I think two things. Number one, we have seen a lot of, historically small merchants used to be very happy with Shopify shipping. What we are seeing now lately is even mid-size and larger merchants are using Shopify shipping with absolute delight. You'll see some case studies on our website as well for merchants of every size, basically. However, we are going to continue investing across the board. So this is not a full stop. This campaign is not a full stop. This is about raising awareness, and we'll continue to invest. So I would not be surprised if really every 6 months to 12 months, Shopify shipping looks very different from the past year. That's our goal here, number one. Number two, I am very interested in hearing merchant feedback. So for, the audience of your podcast, if you have feedback, my email address is my first name last name at shopify.com. So basically vibhor.chabra@shopify.com. Please email me with your feedback. I'd love to hear that and see how we can help.
Mm-hmm. This is amazing. I wouldn't be surprised too. Every 6 months, I always look forward to editions. Summer editions was fantastic. Obviously, winter editions is in production right now, and I'm excited to probably a lot of these new releases are going to be in the winter edition that's on its way. So I'm excited to continue, I guess maybe in my own small way, kind of helping, share the Shopify message and story and entrepreneurship, and then, the products and services that Shopify offers. It's very impressive. Thank you, Vibhor, for, coming on the show and being so transparent about what you and your team are building and iterating on. And I think this is extremely important. And I love the connections with Shopify Fulfillment Network and the expansion now with other 3PLs. It's kind of closing that loop a bit too. Self-fulfill or move on over to a 3PL and let them handle it. And the multi-channel side of it, it's pretty fantastic. So once again, thank you for coming on the show and sharing today.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for the opportunity. Always exciting to talk to somebody from Shopify.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll come full circle. It's so great. All right. Well, have yourself a great afternoon.
You as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.